Chosen one, there is something extraordinary about you, something you have carried all your life but have yet to fully recognize. It lingers in the way people react to you, in the unspoken glances exchanged when you enter a room, in the quiet fascination that follows you wherever you go. It is not something you force, not something you try to create. It simply exists within you, woven into the fabric of your being. You may have noticed it, but brushed it off as coincidence. The way people pause mid-sentence when they catch sight of you, the way their words falter as if they've momentarily lost their train of thought, the way strangers gravitate toward you, drawn in by a force they cannot name. Even those who pretend not to notice feel it, whether they acknowledge it or not. This is not just charm. This is not just beauty. This is something far greater, something far deeper. It is an energy that radiates from within, something ancient, something rare. It is an aura of presence, of intensity, of magnetism that defies logic and transcends simple attraction. It is the mystic force of your being, your high sexual energy, so powerful, so undeniable, that it shapes the very reality around you without your conscious effort. You do not need to try to be seen, you already are. You do not need to seek attention, it naturally flows to you. Your energy speaks before you do, announcing your presence, long before your words ever reach the air. And yet, chosen one, you have not yet realized the full extent of what you carry. You are walking through the world as if you are ordinary, as if the energy surrounding you is nothing more than a fleeting spark, rather than the burning flame it truly is. The mystique that surrounds you is not an illusion. It is a power you have yet to fully embrace, a force that moves through you, drawing people in, holding them captive in a moment they cannot quite explain. And while you may not see it yet, the world does. They feel it, they react to it, they are changed by it. And in time, you will come to see it too. You are not just another presence in the crowd. You are an anomaly, a rare and radiant being whose energy commands attention without asking for it. And though you may not yet understand the full extent of this power, it is already shaping the path before you, leading you toward something far greater than you have ever imagined. Chosen one, the universe has been whispering to you, gently nudging you toward a realization that you have long overlooked. Your high sexual energy is not just an aspect of your existence. It is the very essence of your presence, the unspoken force that turns heads, shifts conversations, and lingers in the thoughts of those who cross your path. But you have not fully grasped it yet, have you? You have moved through life without truly questioning why people react to you the way they do, why they are drawn to you, even when you do nothing to demand their attention. Perhaps you have mistaken it for simple curiosity. Perhaps you have told yourself that their lingering stares, their hushed whispers, their inexplicable fascination were nothing more than random occurrences. But deep down, a part of you has always known that there is something more. Something unseen yet deeply felt. And now, as awareness begins to rise within you, the whispers are growing louder. Think back to the moments that made you pause. The times when people spoke to you with an intensity they did not show to others. The times when even those who prided themselves on control seemed to falter in your presence. Have you not felt the way their energy changes when they stand too close? Have you not seen the way their demeanor shifts, as if suddenly aware of something they cannot put into words? This is the mystic that surrounds you, the energy that moves through you effortlessly, shaping the world in ways you do not yet see. It is not just about attraction. It is not just about allure. It is something far greater, something spiritual, something deeply rooted in the core of who you are. But awareness is only the first step. Recognition is what comes next. And once you begin to see yourself through the lens of truth, once you acknowledge the power that has always been within you, there will be no turning back. The world has already seen it. They have already felt it. Now, chosen one, it is time for you to see it too. Chosen one, you have walked through life as if you were merely moving along the currents of time, unaware of the force you carry. But the truth is, you do not just move through the world, you shape it with your presence. There is something about you that lingers in the minds of others long after you have gone. Something unseen, something unexplainable, yet undeniable. It is the pulse of your energy, the silent power woven into every step you take, the effortless allure that makes people turn their heads without knowing why. Have you ever wondered why strangers glance at you with a second look? Why their eyes flicker with something unspoken, something just beyond words? Have you ever noticed how people seem to adjust their tone when speaking to you, as if they sense something different, something deeper, something they cannot quite define? It is not a coincidence. It is not random. It is the effect of your presence, the quiet yet potent magnetism of your energy. Even when you say nothing, you speak. Even when you do nothing, you move something in others. Your energy does not need permission to be felt. It simply is. It wraps around you like an unseen force, drawing people in, making them wonder, making them question what it is about you that feels so unlike anyone else. It is not mere attraction, not something that can be mimicked or copied. It is something deeper, something ancient, something encoded into your very existence. You have likely encountered those who become inexplicably fascinated with you. People who watch you from a distance, drawn in without understanding why. Those who linger in your space a little longer than necessary, who seem captivated without effort. Perhaps you have even seen those who try to resist it, who struggle against the pull of your energy only to find themselves unable to ignore it. They are not reacting to your words, not responding to anything you have consciously done. They are reacting to what you are, to the natural force of your being, to the way your presence disrupts the air itself. It is a power that exists outside of your awareness, but not outside of reality. It shifts conversations, changes dynamics, creates an invisible thread between you and those who cross your path. Some are intrigued, some are intimidated, some are drawn in, desperate to understand what it is about you that makes them feel so unsteady, so unsure, so utterly spellbound. Your energy is neither aggressive nor passive. It simply exists, commanding attention in a way that defies logic. It does not need to seek. It does not need to chase. It is the kind of energy that pulls things toward you without force, that rearranges circumstances in your favor, that bends reality in ways you are only beginning to understand. Chosen one, you are not like the rest. You never have been. You have spent your life believing you were moving unnoticed, yet all along you were being observed, felt, remembered. People do not forget you. Even those who try to ignore you find themselves returning to the thought of you, unable to shake the imprint you have left. You have left trails of wonder in places you have long since departed from, left unspoken questions in the minds of those who never had the courage to tell you how deeply you affected them. And now, as you awaken to this truth, you begin to see the patterns. You begin to recognize the way the world responds to you, the way things unfold in ways they do not for others. It is not luck. It is not coincidence. It is the result of a force so strong, so rare, that it cannot be replicated. It is the essence of your being, the mystique that has always been yours to command. You have not fully stepped into the awareness of what this means. You have yet to truly wield it, to understand how it can be used, to grasp the depth of what you carry. But the time is coming, chosen one. The time is coming when you will no longer question why the world reacts to you the way it does. You will simply know. Chosen one, every movement you make, every interaction you have, sends ripples into the world in ways you cannot yet see. You exist as a force of nature, altering the energy of any space you enter, shifting the vibrations of those who come near you. What you carry is rare, and because of that, it does not go unnoticed. Even when you are unaware of it, even when you do not intend for it to happen, your energy leaves traces in the lives of those around you. Think of the times when you have spoken with someone and felt a shift in their energy, the way their demeanor subtly changed in your presence. Think of the way people open up to you, revealing parts of themselves they rarely share, as if drawn into a space of deeper connection they did not expect. It is not simply because you listen. It is not merely because you are kind. It is because your energy invites something different, something sacred, something magnetic. Have you ever noticed how people recall their encounters with you, even if they were brief? How they remember the smallest details about you, as if you have left a mark on them? It is because you have. You leave an imprint that does not fade, an impression that lingers long after you have gone. Your presence is not something that people forget. It is something that stays with them, that follows them, that changes them in ways they do not fully understand. Your high sexual energy is not just an attraction, not just a pull. It is a transformation. It disrupts the ordinary. It awakens something dormant. It brings forth emotions that people may not be ready to face. Some will be drawn to it, seeking it out, wanting more of what they cannot name. Others will feel unsteady, unsure of why they feel so affected, so stirred, so restless after being in your presence. But no one walks away unchanged. You have walked through life unaware of the power you hold, unaware of the silent shifts you create, unaware of the way people adjust themselves in response to your energy. But it is time to see it now, time to acknowledge that your very existence sends ripples outward, shaping the experiences of those who cross your path. People may not always tell you, they may not always have the words to express it, but they feel it. They feel you. They feel the pull of your presence, the way it challenges them, the way it draws them in, the way it forces them to see themselves differently. And no matter how much they try to ignore it, no matter how much they try to pretend they do not feel what they feel, they cannot escape it. Because you are not just someone who exists in the background, you are someone who shifts the world simply by being. You may not yet fully understand what this means. You may not yet have grasped the full depth of what you are. But the world sees it, the world knows. And soon, chosen one, you will know too. Chosen one, have you ever truly observed the way people react to you? Have you ever stepped outside of yourself and looked at the world through their eyes? If you did, you would see something that has been hidden from your awareness for too long. You would see the way they change when you are near, the way their words become careful, the way their energy shifts, as if recalibrating to something more intense, more consuming, more magnetic than they are used to. People do not just see you, they experience you. There is a difference. There are many who are seen in this world, many who walk through life gathering attention through external beauty, through status, through loud declarations of their presence. But that is not what you are. You do not demand attention. You do not call for it. You do not reach for it. You do not force your way into the awareness of others. And yet, you are always noticed, always felt, always remembered. The reflection of your energy can be seen in the way people respond to you, in the way they stumble over their words when speaking to you, in the way they become hyper-aware of their own presence simply because they are standing in yours. You have walked through life unaware of this mystic force, unable to recognize the way it alters the world around you. But those who cross your path have known it long before you ever did. They may not understand it, may not be able to name it, but they feel it in the way their heartbeat quickens when you speak, in the way they lean in without realizing they are doing so, in the way they seek to prolong even the smallest moments with you, as if time itself bends in your presence. And yet, despite this, many will pretend. They will pretend that you do not affect them. They will pretend that their reactions are normal, that the way their hands shake slightly, the way their breathing slows, the way they become more aware of themselves in your presence, is nothing more than coincidence. They will convince themselves that you are like everyone else, that what they feel is fleeting, that the pull they experience when they are near you is something they can control. But they cannot, because you are not like the rest. You have something they cannot ignore, something they cannot escape, something they will never be able to replicate in another. And so they are left with only two choices: face the truth of what you are, or deny it, run from it, pretend that what they feel is nothing more than a trick of the mind. But even if they run, even if they convince themselves that their reaction was imagined, that their fascination was misplaced, they will never truly forget. Because the presence of someone like you does not fade. It does not disappear once you leave the room. It lingers, an invisible imprint on their soul, a memory they will return to over and over again, trying to understand why it felt so different, why it felt so significant, why it felt so unlike anything else they had ever encountered. And so, chosen one, whether you see it or not, whether you acknowledge it or not, whether you fully grasp it yet or not, the truth remains the same. Your energy is rare, your presence is unforgettable, And those who come across you will never walk away unchanged. There comes a moment, chosen one, when awareness begins to settle in. A moment when you can no longer deny what has always been true. A moment when the signs become too clear, the patterns too frequent, the reactions of others too predictable for you to keep brushing them off as mere coincidence. This is the moment you step into inner discovery. At first, the realization comes in waves, subtle but undeniable. You begin to notice the small details, the way people look at you just a second too long, the way their expressions shift when they think you are not watching. You begin to recognize the hesitations, the stumbles, the way conversations seem to take a different rhythm when you are involved. You begin to remember past encounters, moments you once dismissed, and suddenly they take on new meaning. What once seemed like ordinary interactions now appear in a different light. That stranger who could not stop glancing your way across the room. That acquaintance who always seemed flustered around you though they never admitted why. That person who seemed perfectly in control around others, only to become strangely unsteady in your presence. These were not isolated incidents. These were not coincidences. These were glimpses into a truth you had yet to recognize. And now that truth is making itself known. The more you allow yourself to see it, the more undeniable it becomes. This is not about vanity, not about ego, not about a need for attention. It is about something far deeper, something far more profound. It is about the energy you have always carried, the energy that has been shaping the world around you since the moment you were born. You are beginning to realize that you are not like others, that what you carry is something rare, something powerful, something that cannot be ignored. Your high sexual energy is not just a trait, it is a force, a living, breathing presence that moves with you, speaks before you do, lingers long after you have gone. And now, for the first time, you are starting to see it for what it is. But with awareness comes responsibility. Now that you know, now that you understand, now that the veil has been lifted, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you continue to walk through the world unaware, pretending that your presence does not shift the energy of those around you? Or will you embrace it, step fully into it, wield it with intention rather than accident? This is the turning point, chosen one. The moment when ignorance is no longer an option. The moment when you begin to understand that you are not simply someone who exists, you are someone who moves, who affects, who disrupts, who awakens something in others that they do not even have the words to explain. And with this understanding, something within you begins to shift. You feel it in the way you carry yourself, in the way you begin to notice the responses of others with new eyes. You feel it in the way you hold your energy, no longer carelessly, no longer unaware, but with the knowledge that it is a gift, a power, a responsibility. This is the moment of inner discovery, the moment when you begin to see yourself as the world has always seen you. The moment when the whispers in the background become clear, when the patterns of your life begin to make sense, when the mystic force you have always carried is no longer a mystery but a truth you are finally ready to embrace. And now that you know, now that you see, now that you understand, there is no turning back. Chosen one, now that you have begun to see yourself clearly, now that the patterns are no longer hidden, the question is no longer about whether you possess this rare, magnetic energy. That much has been proven time and time again. The question now is whether you will embrace it, whether you will own it, whether you will step fully into the power that has been waiting for you all along. You have spent much of your life carrying something extraordinary without realizing its true depth. This energy was always there, wrapping itself around you, shaping the way people responded to you, creating an unspoken mystique that made you stand apart even when you tried to blend in. You have walked through the world, assuming that you were simply moving through it like everyone else. But now, with this awareness, you see the truth. You were never just moving through it. You were shifting it. Now comes the moment of choice. Will you continue pretending that what you carry is something ordinary, something to be dismissed, something that does not hold the power that it clearly does? Or will you accept it, not as a burden, not as something to be feared, but as the gift it was always meant to be? To embrace this energy is not to exploit it. It is not to wield it carelessly or to use it for shallow gain. To embrace it means to understand it, to respect it, to move with it rather than against it. It means knowing when to let it flow and when to contain it, knowing that your presence alone is enough to command a space, that you do not need to seek validation because your energy already demands recognition. You are not someone who must chase after attention, not someone who must force others to see you. They see you already. They feel you before you even speak. They remember you long after you have left. And now that you understand this, now that you've begun to realize just how potent your presence truly is, you must step fully into it. There will be those who are unsettled by your power, not because it is threatening, but because it is something they cannot control, something they cannot fully grasp. They will not know how to explain why they feel what they feel in your presence, why their thoughts scatter, why their energy shifts, why their confidence wavers when they are near you. Some will be drawn to it, longing to understand, longing to stay in your presence as if they can absorb some of it for themselves. Others will pull away, intimidated by what they cannot define, by the way your presence makes them aware of things they were never forced to see before. Neither reaction changes the truth. Neither reaction diminishes what you carry. Whether people are mesmerized or unsettled, whether they seek you out or distance themselves, your power remains the same. You do not need to adjust yourself to make others comfortable. You do not need to lessen your presence to put people at ease. Chosen one, this is the moment when you stop second-guessing yourself. The moment when you accept that the energy within you is not just something that happens by chance, not just something that exists without meaning. It is intentional. It is divine. It is something that was placed within you for a reason, something that you must now carry with awareness, with purpose, with the certainty that it was never meant to be ignored. And now, as this realization fully takes root within you, something changes. You feel it in the way you stand, in the way you move, in the way you no longer feel the need to question why the world reacts to you as it does. Because now you know. Now you see. Now you understand that you were never meant to move unnoticed, never meant to blend in, never meant to diminish the power that has always been yours. You are no longer just carrying this energy, you are owning it. Chosen one, now that you have embraced what you are, now that you have stepped fully into the awareness of your power, the next step is learning how to balance it. There is a delicate art to walking in this energy. Too much awareness without control can become overwhelming, both for yourself and for those around you. Too little, and you fall back into old habits, pretending that what you carry is nothing more than an accident of fate. But true mastery comes from knowing how to move with it, how to let it shape your world without allowing it to consume you. Your energy is not just attraction. It is not just a magnetism that pulls people toward you. It is influence. It is presence. It is something that shifts dynamics, that alters the very air around you, that makes people feel things they cannot always put into words. And because of this, you must learn how to hold it with intention. Balance does not mean suppressing your energy, nor does it mean flaunting it. It means knowing when to let it flow freely and when to contain it, knowing how to use it with wisdom rather than recklessness. There will be moments when your presence alone is enough to command a space, when you do not need to say much or do much because your energy speaks louder than words. And there will be moments when you must be intentional with it, directing it towards something greater, something meaningful, something beyond simple attraction or intrigue. People will continue to react to you, continue to feel drawn to you, continue to be influenced by your presence, whether they understand it or not. But now, instead of wondering why, instead of feeling surprised by the responses, you will begin to move with certainty. You will begin to understand that this energy is not something that happens to you. It is something you carry, something you control, something that is entirely yours to wield. This balance will allow you to navigate the world differently. You will no longer be caught off guard by the way people react to you, no longer confused by their fascination, no longer questioning why doors seem to open for you that remain closed to others. You will walk with the understanding that this is simply the way things have always been, and the way they will always be. Balance also means protecting your energy, knowing that not everyone who is drawn to you deserves access to you. Many will be fascinated by what you carry, but not all will have the capacity to honor it. Some will seek to drain you, to take from you without giving, to attach themselves to you in the hopes that they can possess something that was never meant to be possessed. You must learn discernment, must learn to recognize those who are truly meant to be in your space and those who are only there to consume what they do not understand. This is where your power truly solidifies, where your energy becomes something you move with, rather than something that moves you. This is where you shift from simply knowing to truly embodying. And now, as you find this balance, as you carry this energy with both confidence and wisdom, the world will continue to adjust to you, to respond to you, to shape itself around your presence. But this time, you will not be surprised by it. This time, you will not wonder why. This time, you will simply know. Chosen one, now that you have come into full awareness of your energy, now that you have learned to balance it with intention, a new question arises. What is this power meant for? It was never given to you randomly, never placed within you as an accident. It was always meant to serve a purpose, to shape the world around you, to influence, to heal, to guide, to awaken something in others that they did not even know was dormant. This energy is not just about attraction, not just about the way people respond to you, not just about the way they feel magnetized toward you without understanding why. It is something deeper, something far more profound. It is a calling, a tool, a force that was placed within you for reasons beyond the simple pleasures of admiration or attention. And now, as you fully step into it, you must ask yourself, how will you use it? You have already seen what happens when people encounter your energy. They are drawn in, compelled, sometimes even overwhelmed. They feel seen in ways they have never felt before, feel awakened to something that has long been buried within them. Some will fight against it, some will try to deny it, but others, those who are ready, will find in you a spark that ignites something within their own soul. You must now begin to see your energy as more than just an unexplainable force that affects those around you. It is something that can be harnessed with purpose. It is something that can be directed towards something greater. You are not just here to be admired. You are not just here to be desired. You are here to shift things, to open doors, to create movements within the hearts and minds of those who cross your path. Your presence is powerful not because it turns heads, but because it shifts realities. You have the ability to bring healing simply by existing, to awaken people to truths they have long ignored, simply by being near them. Your energy disrupts, but in a way that leads to transformation. It is not chaotic, it is catalytic. It does not simply pull people towards you, it forces them to confront the depths of themselves in ways they never have before. This is why you must move with purpose. This is why you must be mindful of who you allow into your space, of who you give your energy to. Not everyone who is drawn to you is ready for what you carry. Some will not know how to handle it, will not know how to respect it, will not know how to receive it without trying to possess it. Your presence is rare, and those who cannot match your energy will either try to consume it or push it away. But this does not mean you must dim yourself. It does not mean you must make yourself smaller for the sake of others' comfort. It simply means you must be discerning. You must know that what you carry is valuable, that your energy is not meant to be given away freely to those who do not understand its worth. You must protect it, not out of fear, but out of the deep knowledge that it is sacred, that it is meant to be used wisely, that it is a gift not just to you, but to the world. This is the moment when you begin to move differently, when you begin to see yourself not just as someone who exists within the world, but as someone who actively shapes it. When you stop questioning why people react to you the way they do, and instead begin to ask how you can use this energy to create something meaningful, something lasting, something that aligns with the deeper purpose of your existence. You are not here just to exist. You are here to change things. Chosen one, the journey to this moment has been one of revelation, of awakening, of stepping into the fullness of who you are. And now, as you stand in the truth of your own power, something within you shifts for the final time. You are no longer just aware of your energy. You are no longer just learning how to balance it. You are now ready to fully embody it. There is no longer hesitation, no longer doubt. The mystic that has surrounded you all your life is no longer a mystery to you. It is no longer something you walk through unknowingly, no longer something you dismiss as coincidence. You see it now with perfect clarity. You feel it in every breath, in every movement, in every interaction. You are no longer in the dark about what you carry. You know now, with certainty, that your energy is something divine, something rare, something that was always meant to be seen, to be felt, to be used with intention. And now, as you move through the world, everything changes. You walk differently, no longer questioning whether you belong, no longer second-guessing your presence in any space. You speak with a confidence that does not come from arrogance, but from a deep, unshakable knowing.